Today we're talking about minimalistic newborn essentials. Hello and welcome back to Veggie Magnifique, your go-to for holistic wellness and a healthy vegan lifestyle. My name is Anne. If you are new here, hello, I'm a health coach as well as a performer and a new mom. And I strive to be a minimalist in my life. Now, let's be honest, a true minimalistic newborn essential video would be like mom, baby, boob, cuddles, and a car seat. And that would not be a very interesting video. As well as not being exactly realistic, because there are things that you're going to want or need that will help you in this quest of new momming. So I thought I would make a video about the things that have been so useful to me in the hopes that it will help you. First category is sleeping. So we have been using the vegan bassinet from Design Dua. It is fantastic. I put it right next to me. It's a great height. It's rockable. It's beautiful, and I can use it going forward. So when he outgrows it, which will be soon, I can use it for books or storing stuffed animals or whatever. It's just a beautiful basket. And then when we have future children, we can use it as a bassinet once again. But what I love about it is that it's sustainable in that you can use it for other things once baby is done. Whereas some of the bassinets out there that are just like a bassinet, kind of like a plasticky construction or whatever, it's kind of like it's just a bassinet. You can't really use that to store books or anything. Next up is the Dome or DOHM noise machine, sound maker. I love this one because it's actually a fan. So the other ones are kind of like recordings, many of them, at least in my research. And I love that this one is a fan. It has two settings, so it can go higher or lower. And before I had a child, you know, I didn't really get the whole beauty of a sound machine. I just didn't really get it, and I do now. It's very helpful because once your baby is asleep, the last thing you want to do is wake up your baby, and creating that ambient noise is just incredibly helpful. Next up is the Snuggle Me Organic. So generally speaking, we put Edgar in there to hang out with us and not necessarily to sleep. In the very beginning, when he was a newborn, he did actually sleep in it a little bit, but we also had the bassinet, so it was more like for naps. And also in the beginning when we were kind of like figuring out the sleeping situation, because the first couple days he was in the bed with us sort of, and then, you know, that didn't really work. We have a really small bed, but the Snuggle Me Organic is organic. It's super handy. It's been handy for 4 months. I highly recommend this one, especially because it's organic. Next up for sleeping, I highly recommend a sleep sack. Now, why do I recommend a sleep sack? Obviously, a lot of people talk about sleep sacks. It's not a mystery. It's great because they can't get blankets in their face. And so this one from Parade Organics is the softest, buttery cotton I have ever felt as organic cotton. I love the color. I love how soft it is, and it fits him great. In the beginning, it was a little big, but it wasn't really a hazard. It was so great. Once I switched to using a sleep sack rather than, you know, blankets and origami and whatever, because he didn't really like swaddling, then I slept a lot more soundly, which is really important as a new mom, because I wasn't afraid that blankets were going to get in his face. And so in addition to that, actually, I was also able to kind of turn off the nightlight, because I kept the light on just so I could like peek in and make sure everything was okay. And when I switched to a sleep sack, it was like, he's sleeping fine, he's super warm. I guess in the beginning I thought that I wasn't supposed to use a sleep sack because he was so small, but I think that was probably wrong. I highly recommend a sleep sack. So you're probably going to need blankets and or swaddles. Like I said, Edgar was not super into swaddles, so we used the blankets for other purposes, because you will obviously use blankets for a lot of different reasons, out in car seats and burp cloths, etc. I really like this elephant one from Pear. It's organic, beautiful, it's just soft as soft can be. And my other favorite one is another elephant one because I like elephants. And that's from Monica and Andy, organic. It's a bit thicker. I like having the different thicknesses of blankets depending on the situation. So those are my two favorite blankets. Next up is feeding your baby. So I am breastfeeding, and I realize not everyone can breastfeed. So these tips are my experience, largely breastfeeding influenced. So here are my top 3 essentials for breastfeeding. Number 1 is this gift that my friend Katie gave me as like a hand-me-down, my breast friend. Very funny, but extremely useful and helpful because I have a really long torso. So the other pillows were just really too low, so I'd have to have like 3 pillows underneath the breastfeeding pillow. It's really difficult. But the breast friend kind of snaps in place, and so I only have to put 1 pillow underneath it, and it's so handy for breastfeeding. Like, I really swear by it. It is just dandy and helpful. Breastfeeding has not been that easy. I've figured it out sort of now, but in the beginning it was super difficult. So anything that helps you with breastfeeding is like a godsend. Next up are these silverettes. So in addition to, you know, adding to your precious metal collection, the reason that these are so fantastic, and I have my friend Diana to thank for these, is that they block your nipples, right? Apparently silver is really helpful in terms of like healing the tissue and stuff, but for me, it was largely just that I could put them in my bra and then I wouldn't accidentally hit anything on my nipple. These like protected it. They're just perfect to put on there, and then you're not going to brush against something and be in excruciating pain, because in the beginning of nursing, anything hits those things, it's just like Of course, when you wear them and you wear just like a normal shirt on top, you do look like a fembot, but in the beginning, you don't really care about that. I just told my friends that I came in contact with in the beginning days, guys, I look like a fembot. And they were like, cool, but my nipples were protected. I will link these down below. Of course, I have a lot of other different tips for breastfeeding. If you'd like to see a video about my breastfeeding tips, definitely let me know, because I could, you know, go on and on about that, but I will stop. If you want to see a video, let me know. Next up is clothing for your baby. That's an essential, right? The one thing I'm going to talk about, minimalist essential here, is nightgowns. And I highly recommend the nightgowns from Parade Organic. They're fantastic. I didn't really buy much of anything because I have such lovely, wonderful friends who gifted me all these things for my baby showers and just like hand-me-downs, people who had kids, and I'm just so grateful. The one thing I bought an extra one of was a nightgown from Parade Organics because it's so handy. It's like, whoosh, change your baby, whoosh, you're done changing your baby. You're not like buttoning and zipping and it's like the easiest thing, especially for like middle of the night diaper changes. It's also great because it fits your baby for so long. So this is a very eco-friendly item because it fits them when they're small because their legs are just like hanging out, right? And then it also fits them as they grow because it's just a nightgown. Highly recommend this item as clothing. If you only get one thing or one of the same things as a minimalist parent, get this nightgown. Again, it also has a little mitten coverers that actually stay on, which are fantastic as well. If your baby's scratching or, you know, twitching or something, they're great. If you're interested in talking more about organic clothing that I like, let me know because I could make a whole video about that as well. I just wanted to mention my super favorite, which is the nightgown. So next up is diapers or elimination, right? So your baby's going to eliminate. So we are trying to do elimination communication. In the very beginning, couple months, I was just like, oh my gosh, breastfeeding and fatigue, and it's like I just couldn't do anything else. But now it's been about a month and we've been doing a lot of elimination communication and it's been fantastic. And what's fantastic for that is a top hat potty. Now if you are like, what is she talking about? Essentially it's infant potty training, and at normal periods of when they would go to the bathroom, you give them potty-tunities and you place them on the potty and you give them a sound cue and they learn that they can go there instead of in the diaper, which is really wonderful for them because they don't have to sit in their mess, right? Like mammals don't like to sit in their mess, and a lot of cultures do elimination communication without calling it that. Diapers are new, right? Diapers are a generally new thing in the West. So we do use diapers, but we try to do more and more, or are trying to do more and more, elimination communication. That's another thing if you want me to make a video about, let me know in the comments below. Of course, there are also a ton of videos online about elimination communication, or EC. And I swear, when you catch a poo, sorry, but TMI, but when you catch a poo in the potty and your baby's just like, yay, it's just so wonderful. And you know that they're not sitting in their mess, and it's just fantastic. So when I have to use diapers, which I do, you know, obviously I use diapers in between so there's not like messes everywhere, and especially at night, I have found these coterie diapers, which are like super posh. They're like the Mercedes of diapers apparently, but they're kind of fantastic. They're kind of fantastic, and they really absorb and wick away. And you know, my baby's never got diaper rash. I don't want him to get diaper rash, so I do try to choose something that goes on his skin that seems to me to be the best and that wicks away moisture, and that as well is more eco-friendly, right? Are disposable diapers that eco-friendly? It's a hard sell. However, you kind of have to figure out what's the happy medium there. Do we have cloth diapers? Yes, we do. They are very difficult to use because as soon as baby potties, the whole thing is soaked and wet. I haven't figured out yet how to do cloth diapering in a way that makes me feel comfortable that my baby is comfortable. Like I have cloth diapers. I wanted a cloth diaper. I was like, cloth diapers, they're the best. I'm an eco mom. And yet I haven't figured out yet because it's like every 2 seconds, it's just soaked. And then of course you're doing laundry all the time. And you know, like as an eco-friendly person, it's like, well, is doing a bunch of laundry all the time with like, cause you have to do like 2 washes to get the poo stains out. Sorry, again, but that's what it is. It's like, I just felt, I don't know. I'm still a little bit perplexed about the diapering situation. Another reason why I'm so gung-ho about EC, because everyone wins. Baby wins, the planet wins, mom wins, daddy wins. So we will continue to do EC. And I'll keep you posted on the whole diaper kerfuffle. Next up is bathing your newborn. You're gonna wanna bathe your newborn at some point, maybe not like super early, but at some point you're gonna wanna bathe your newborn. So a few things with bathing. Number one is we use this bathing flower thing. And it's not very eco, but it's practical because you can pop it in the sink. And when your baby's small, it's so much easier to bathe your baby at the level of a sink rather than kneeling over a bathtub, right? It's like I just felt like he was gonna slip out of my hands, or I just didn't. Granted, my husband does most of the bathing, thank you. But when your baby's small, it just makes the most sense to me anyway to have him like higher up rather than in a bathtub where it's kind of hard to maneuver. They do have these little like bath things that you can put into the bathtub, but we've really enjoyed using this flower. It's soft, it's squishy, baby just hangs out in it and splashes around, and so I will link that below. And then of course the soap that we're using for baby is the soap that I told you about in a previous video, which I will link, and this is from Dutch Health Store. It's a shea butter, extremely pure soap, so I feel super comfortable using it to bathe my baby. I'm not using, you know, the main brands of baby soaps which have questionable things in them. I'm using this shea butter soap, which I get at the Dutch Health Store, so I will link that below. You guys know I love the Dutch Health Store for anything that I'm putting on my body. Next up, it was very difficult to find a vegan brush because most of them are made of like goat hair, and I said vegan, didn't want that. So this is hip peas. It's not easy to come by. You can find it on Amazon, but it looks like it's being shipped from far and away. My friend Tara got this for me, thank you Tara. It is just a fantastic baby brush, pretty basic, and it's vegan. So highly recommend this baby brush in particular if you're looking to avoid goat hair, which I was. Next up, in terms of creaming up your baby, they get dry skin, they get cradle cap, it's like a whole thing. I have been using Vemel Wonder Balm, which I've talked to you about before. I love it, super pure, just delightful. As well as Atlantic Organics Calendula oil. I like to switch it up, and then on like his creases and just like his body, we do like a baby massage every night before bed, and like sometimes we'll use the calendula oil from Atlantic, and then sometimes we'll use the Wonder Balm, but all of these products are super pure, and I highly recommend that you seek out a pure product for your baby and not just use like some Johnson & Johnson's product. Okay, so next up is a baby carrier. Baby carriers are fantastic because your baby is in contact with your body, which is where he wants to be or she wants to be. And then also you can sort of get things done when he or she is in the carrier, sort of, right? It's not exactly. Once they can go on the back, then I think it's probably extremely helpful for you to get things done. But until when they're super small, they're in the front and they're right here, so you do have to be careful. But baby wearing, in my philosophy, is a wonderful thing. Now, which carrier you get is up to you and your morphology. So we have a couple carriers actually, and I'll tell you a little bit about them, but you have to try them out on your body and see what works for you. So we have the Baby Bjorn, which I find to be the most comfortable because it's racer back for me. So I have a small like thoracic cage and so like the fact that it's a racer back is much more comfortable on my back and my shoulders, whereas my husband likes to wear the Ergo Baby, which for me, like it's like a backpack thing, would like pull my shoulders forward because I couldn't get it cinched far enough just because I'm thinner than he is. So the Ergo Baby I look forward to wearing when he can be on the back because it'll be perfect as like a backpack. And then thirdly, we have the Solly wrap, which is very stretchy, so sometimes he sinks down, but if you get it tied really well and without the fabric being twisted, it can be very comfortable actually. So especially for small babies, the Solly, you know, it does the job. I'm not necessarily sure it's the best wrap because I haven't tried too many wraps. There's this other wrap that my midwife gave me that's a little stiffer, but it's a little shorter in fabric. And then that one, if you get it just right, then it's okay, but I have a harder time getting that one just right for some reason. So you really have to try out different wraps. I highly suggest before you buy one, you try your friend's wraps first because some of them are really expensive. Some of them are really expensive. Like, oh my God. trash. And minimalist parents that we are, you know, it's not like we want like 65 wraps either. That being said, I am grateful that we have 4. 2 of them are cloth wraps, and then the other 2 are like the more structured wraps, which I definitely feel that we will continue to use both with future children, but also once he gets a little bit bigger and we can do different carries. And lastly is a car seat. You need a car seat if you have a car and you plan on using your car, obviously. And for us, the minimalist choice was a Duna car seat, and here's why. A Duna car seat is both a car seat and a stroller. Now you might say, well, it's not a good idea to have your baby in the car seat too long, right? In that position, right? So if you have a car seat, then they're in the car seat and then you take them out and you stroll them around and they're in that same position the whole time, which is a very valid point. So what I highly recommend is that you're baby wearing when you take baby out of the car seat as much as humanly possible, because it's just better for their body, it's better for them to be close to you. However, the Duna is a one gadget that does 2 functions. I was like deliberating about car seats and strollers for like weeks. And my husband was like, dude, get the one that does 2 things. Like, we're minimalists. And I was like, oh, yeah, you're right. And another factor with the Duna was that my friend who has 4 kids gave me this like illustration. She's like, well, here's how I think about it. You're planning on having another kid, right? Okay, well imagine you have one little kid holding your hand and you're trying to get your baby out and you're like, it was like, that's true. If you have to go to the back and get the bottom of your stroller out from the trunk and then do the it's like not practical, right? So highly recommend the car seat. We've been super happy with the Duna. Just again, it's not like the most plush stroller, but then we're baby wearing, so it does the job. So those are my minimalist newborn essentials. Of course, this is just what works for me. There are things that probably work fantastically for you, and I would love to hear about them, and so would other people watching. So leave those in the comments below of your must-haves for newborn life, because again, like, everyone's different. This is just my personal experience. I hope that if you're expecting, that you found these tips helpful. I certainly watched a lot of videos when I was expecting to try to figure out what it is that I would need, and what you think you need and what you end up needing are usually not exactly the same. So take it with a grain of salt, but I really hope that this video helped you in your journey, and I will see you next time on Veggie Magnifique TV. Bye! Bye.